good now, whenever and wherever this finds you. This is the 7th video of a series of 8 that was recorded in Dallas, Texas in 2019 at an event called America in One Room. By now, if you've watched any of the videos, you know quite a bit about this event. So this particular video is into the issue of racism, and let's get into it.
We can't even come to an agreement that I can't look at you, you can't look at me, and you're American. American, why do we have to divide it? Duh, you're a different color of American. You know, is that obvious?
America in One Room is an experiment in democracy. It brings a scientific sample of the nation to a single place where they can talk to each other in a civil manner and wrestle with the country's big problems.
I don't like using the term white and black. I try to escape that because I look at you and you're not the color of your shirt. And I look at me, I'm not the color of mine, you know. People in my culture, some of them are white. But you look at my dark skin and that's all you see is this. And my daughter actually made me realize that. We were coloring one day and then she was just like, why do people call you black? She picked up her brown crayon, put it next to my skin, and she said, Mommy, this is you.
Where the problem really exists is way down at the bottom, the inner cities versus high-end communities that can afford to educate children.
But we do have such a problem supporting our own people and taking care of our own poor and taking care of our own violence.
We focus, I feel like, in this country so much on like race. Like it's just ridiculous how saturated it is.
I don't know how I did that.
Is that better, or do I need to?
I'm thrilled. With COVID, this is the most people I've been around in months.
So let's dive in.
I'm just gonna start off with hashtag Black Lives Matter. I mean, we're not colorblind. We know I'm the only one with the brown skin in here.
And you're not the only brown skinned person here. I'm half Cherokee. All of you are invaders as far as I'm concerned. My father was law enforcement, and I was raised in a law enforcement home. I'm pro-law enforcement. The majority of the policemen out there are doing the job because they feel it's a calling to serve their community. The problem is that there are bad police officers out there, and they get all the attention.
Police brutality, when it comes down to it, it is about race. I wish it wasn't. I wish we didn't need to have this discussion, but it is. The numbers don't lie. The prisons don't lie. My uncle in Louisiana, Kenny, he's a cop. You know, I don't have anything against like all cops.
There are things that have to be changed, but we need to be careful because if we tie the police officers' hands too much, they can't do their job. Or nobody's going to want to be a police officer. I wouldn't want to be.
If you want to be a cop and you're a good cop, you're going to be a good cop. You're going to do whatever it takes to be a good cop. And it's very frustrating for me because I see this stuff on television and it just breaks my heart, and I feel so helpless and I want it to stop.
I've had interactions with police officers and I never feared for my life, and that's a different experience than everybody else's, and that's where white privilege comes in. I think a lot of people have a very fragile reaction to that term, and it's very frustrating because it doesn't mean that our lives can't be hard. It just means that my skin color did not make my life harder. That's all it means.
I think the first thing is just to be more aggressive on these officers. I mean, if a kid does something bad in school, you expel them, right? You kick them out. Do the same thing with these cops.
We're going to need to be careful in how we're handling this situation. Anybody that thinks we can't get by without law enforcement should go to a football game without referees and see how everybody gets along.
In the case of George Floyd, the officer who had his knee on George Floyd's neck, he was challenged by one of the more junior officers but push back on that. And of course there are good cops, but I think that they are punished for trying to be good.
They built this system where they protect each other, and that needs to be taken away.
We all have biases. Police officers are not immune to that, but they have a disproportionate amount of power, and people act as because they have this power and authority that we just have to be obedient to them. And if you're not obedient, you resist arrest at all, then you should die. Is that really how we want to be governed? Is that really how we want to be policed?
The problem with the police is emblematic of the problem we have in this country, which is racism. In every place you go, we have an issue with racism. You can't just fix the police. We need to fix ourselves.
I really miss you guys, and I love every one of you guys, and you guys know how emotional I am.
They need to take a group of us all to Washington, D.C. and make them all sit down and listen to us.
This kind of balanced and thoughtful discussion, I think, is the magic elixir that brings democracy to life.
It was certainly an opportunity of a lifetime. I hope everybody stays safe, stays healthy, and we can do it again.
Amen.
So we see not only a change in attitude, but we see healing and people realizing for the first time their delusion and coming to peace within themselves. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you down the road.